Hey, what's up, sports fans? Happy Saturday. Hopefully, everybody had an awesome Friday, whether it was DFS or pounding beers with the boys or whatever you did. Hope it was awesome. Let's talk some basketball.
Yeah, I watched a movie with the wife last night. Watched Man on Fire, so that's good.
What'd you think of it?
It was really good. I remember watching it like I must have been 10, 15 years ago now. But what a great movie! Denzel's awesome in that role.
Yeah, I love all revenge movies like that, where it's one guy who's just a total badass. It brings out that inner side of every guy that they wish they could be for just a short period of time. I have very little inner badass, so it's fun watching other people do it.
No doubt.
All right, guys. So we got ourselves an 8-game slate tonight. Let's go get that bread.
Let's get it, man. A little bit of a weird Saturday night slate.
Definitely. If you guys are new to the station, hit the red button that says subscribe. Thumbs up is always appreciated. If you haven't followed the new official DFS 5-pack Twitter page, guys, the link is down in the description section, right by the website to sign up to become a full member. We'd love to have you in the family. But let's dive into this one. So right away, I think the focal point, so kind of like last night, most people kind of started in the same spots. They went with the cheap guys that we had. We had Bam Adebayo, Kelly Olynyk, Mike Muscala, and then Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler were kind of a nice little focal point to start with. They all did their jobs really, really well. I think today you start with the Denver guys. Paul Millsap appears to have broken a toe, which means dude's going to be out for a while. I think the most natural guy to get a bump up in this situation is going to be Trey Lyles. I don't know how many more minutes he will play, but he's almost already in play against Atlanta at this price period. So with no Millsap in there and points and shots and minutes to go around, Lyles will be big-time chalk tonight. Maybe not quite Bam last night, but not much short of it.
You say, he's almost in play, even if Millsap were playing. I was thinking the same thing. I think he would have been in play if Millsap was out because it's Atlanta, and we talked about that. He won't be as high-owned as Bam, and he's probably not as good of a DFS player or in as good of a spot as Bam. But, man, he's really good in his own right. As you say, TLC said it best. He's definitely no scrub. Was very productive at Kentucky. Played with a lot of those guys there.
At points last year, he was super productive.
Yeah, like there's a points last year where he was putting up 30 to 35. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I expect 35, but I think it's much more likely that he gets 35 than 15 here.
Okay, so the biggest point here is this could be the type of fade that if like they were playing on Memphis or something like that I could get on board with, but they are playing DFS royalty tonight in the Atlanta Hawks. And what I mean by that is nobody really gives it up like the Hawks do as far as points. The massive amounts of turnovers, the heavy steals, getting into the paint, you get your block shots, you get an extreme pace. As Atlanta, nobody moves faster than they do. I mean, this is a crush spot for half of the Denver team today.
Like, I'm more worried about Mike Malone doing some crazy stuff with the rotation and Lyles not getting enough minutes than I am him not performing while he's out there. And on that same note, I'm going over all these scenarios in my head. I can't really think of a situation where he doesn't see a big minutes increase here.
Even if it's just 5 minutes, right? I think, you know what I mean? That's enough for him to hit a solid floor. And at high ownership today, you're really taking a shot if you don't put him in your roster.
Definitely. 5 minutes with a guy at this price is big time.
Versus Atlanta, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, again, I think you can roll real heavy on the Nuggets today. Atlanta is that bad for what they give up. I don't care that Denver's on a back-to-back or anything like that because this is Atlanta. They give everybody a major bump. Hernan Gomez has turned himself into a damn solid, consistent DFS play on a nightly basis. Now, he already plays pretty good minutes, so I don't see him getting the same proposed or guessing of a bump that most people think Trey Lyles would get. But what he might get is a few more shots in this offense. He has continued to play better and better with this. And again, it goes right back to the Atlanta factor. And I gave the examples of starting with Bam and Olynyk last night and Simmons and Butler. For me, I'm building a solid nucleus of Denver players tonight. I haven't picked out exactly which, 3, 4, even 5 of them I'm looking at, but this is a team in a great spot today. Now missing one of their, top players. That opens up minutes. It opens up shots. It opens up rebounds. This is just another guy I want on my team.
It's funny. I was thinking about this morning. Not only are they missing Millsap, but they're missing a bunch of their guys. I know that 2 guys we haven't even seen yet, Isaiah Thomas and Michael Porter, their first-round pick. This team is loaded. And then 2 guys that, Gary Harris has been out for a few days, and then Will Barton, who's been out for it seems like forever now. This rotation is about as shallow as we're ever going to see it.
Right. And this is a deep team. That's how much, how injured they are. Imagine when they get to be at full strength.
They're another team that almost might be too deep.
Right. This is a team that I feel like they could package a deal to get a star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I would love to see Anthony Davis next to Jokic. That's a twin towers I could get on board with because they could both shoot the three. Jokic, you can run the offense through him. He doesn't need to shoot a bunch. He doesn't want that. So I'm not saying that could happen, but that's something that I would love to see.
Yeah, they've got a lot of like good to real good players, and Jokic is great, but I'm so with you. Like if they could find a way to deal 2 or 3 of those guys for another great guy, then they'd really be onto something.
Exactly. All right, next up. So I know you wanted to talk over Cleveland guards, and I think the biggest point I want to talk about right here is point chasing what you're doing if you play Alec Burks. Yes, it's point chasing if you're trying to get 47 out of him. It, however, is not point chasing from the aspect that he's hit cash value in 4 or 5 games with Cleveland. Cleveland moved on from George Hill yesterday. He played, I think, 39 minutes yesterday in his absence. I expect him to be a big part of the rotation. Obviously, Cleveland wants to give him a run. They were more than happy to go move away from George Hill.
Yeah, so for me, like Sexton, Burks, and Clarkson all apply here because they traded George Hill yesterday, so their pricing was too cheap yesterday because of that, and they didn't adjust the algorithm because the pricing was already up for today. So in my opinion, if you expect 47, you're chasing and you're high on something that I probably want some of. But realistically, with George Hill gone, he should probably be 4,500. He's too cheap now. All the Cleveland guards are too cheap for their new roles with Hill gone. Rock solid, every single one of them, including Burks.
And they're in a good spot because Washington
up
to the guard position. I believe they are 1 or 2 for the most DFS points allowed to point guards. And while Burks is kind of a combo guard, he'll have the ball in his hand plenty, and that's something that they don't do very well at. And now there's no interior defense with Dwight Howard gone. It just makes it easier on them to score. Yeah,
Burks being there has definitely taken some of the ball handling out of Sexton's hands. And we know Burks, for lackluster as he is, he's a pretty good scorer. So take that for what it's worth.
And aggressiveness, which is something that we like.
Exactly.
On a team with no real alpha, he'll come out and he'll play alpha, even though he's only been there for a few days. He doesn't mind taking control.
Completely.
All right, next up. So I'm looking, and I spent a lot of time this morning looking through the top big money plays because the truth of the matter is there's a lot of really good cheap guys today. So you're going to get guys who are going to be returning 6 and 7 ratios more than likely with a lot of these cheap guys. And you don't want to skip them, but it's going to force you into a spot where you're playing bigger money players that maybe you wouldn't look at in a normal slate. And, I went through LeBron this morning. I was looking at him, and I was looking at Dame, and I was looking at a couple of the other guys. Early on, I'm looking at Lillard, but I want to be perfectly clear on this one. If you like the other studs better, I can understand how you would get there. I thought it was very, very close. I don't think any of them are like in smash spots or anything like that. This is not like I expect Lillard to go out and put up 60 today, but I like the fact that this is supposed to be a close game. And we like Damian Lillard when he's going to be out there at the end of games. If you watch like the game against Dallas, he gets super aggressive when they're trailing. And when they're up, he usually goes to the line maybe 6 times in the last 2 minutes and adds on some points.
Yeah, big problem with this slate is that, in my opinion, there's a lack of star power in the sense that I don't really have a lot of interest, like you said, in a lot of the studs. But you got to roster them because there's so much value. So you're put into a position where you got to spend your money somewhere, as you would like to say. I agree with you. Lillard is my favorite stud. We saw him the other night just absolutely make Phoenix look foolish. He's even stepped his game up to what he was last year. He's awesome. I mean, I can get on board with playing him almost any time. He's in a great spot. He's going to have the ball in his hands. Rock solid in my eyes.
Right. But I don't like him significantly more than other high money guys. So like, if you really think, Fui to the matchup, I like LeBron against the Grizzlies because there's no Brandon Ingram, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I understand that. And you can play both of them. There is a ton of value on this slate. You can play 3 of them. You can go Jokic, Bron, and Lillard and probably still make a lineup.
And then for me, like, there's stars on this slate. After LeBron, there's Towns and Lillard and Wall and Jokic, but there's no Westbrooks or Giannis or the guys from Golden State. So I don't know. It's a little bit like slim pickings up top, and you got to go somewhere. So I agree with you on Lillard. He was the first guy I was looking at too. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
But, you know, just to clarify again, like, we don't love Lillard. If this was like a normal slate, like if this was last night, I wouldn't even be looking at him.
Yeah, and the other problem is, like, there's not a great, like, so not only are there not, like, good, like, studs, there's not, like, a great mid-tier. There's a lot of value and a lot of cheap guys we like. There's not a lot of guys, upper expensive guys that I like a lot at all, really.
Put it this way. If you told me Dame scored 44, I would just lock him in today. And I don't think 44, I know 44 isn't generally a good score off of 9,400, but I do think that's enough today based on what we're going to get from potential upside from the low dollar guys and versus what the other stars and really good players, like you mentioned, the John Walls of the world, for example, are going to provide to you.
Definitely. And as always, there's quite a few centers I like here too. So that makes things even more difficult.
Absolutely, guys. All right. Have yourselves a wonderful Saturday. Let's rock this tonight, rock a little NFL tomorrow, and we'll see you guys sometime in the near future.